Welcome to Reaching Out. I'm Gregory Floyd, President Local 237, Teamsters. With me, my very good friend and special guest, Council Member Daneek Miller from Queens. And Daneek has a very interesting history because Daneek was the president of Local 1056, which is the Amalgamated Transit Workers Union. It's located in Queens. And if I remember correctly, it used to be the Jamaica Bus Company.
Yep. The Jamaica Bus Company and a lot of what they used to call the North Shore companies, and when they were all consolidated, taken over by the city, and they all became they were a part of the ATU and then part of the Transit Authority.
And the northern part would have been the Triborough bus lines, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as that, yep. So and so we represented all the New York City Transit in Queens. So that was that was the past life. Doesn't seem that long ago. And obviously, I'm still wearing that hat as Chair of Civil Service and Labor over here at the City Council. But it was a really special time for me.
Yeah, I remember riding the Jamaica bus line to high school in August Martin.
Yeah.
It was the Jamaica bus line, the Q110, over to the Q111. We transferred and then took us right over to Jamaica.
Yeah, I forgot you were a Queens Village boy.
I'm
right?
a Queens Village boy.
Yeah,
I grew up in Queens Village. My mother still lives there. And you're her councilman.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
For those in our audience, we just went through his background. We just want to know, how many members did Local 1056 have currently?
Well, currently they have 2,000 active and another about 1,800 retired members.
Okay, very good. Now, your previous position representing bus drivers at the MTA and mechanics who worked at the Queens has given you a keen perspective to labor and transportation issues, too.
Yep. So, obviously, we've known each other for many, many years, and long before we were council members and presidents of unions and so forth. And part of that journey as a union officer, board member, and the legislative director for the union kind of was in preparation for what I am doing now. Never thought that, I would have that opportunity or even desired to do so. But, so we started there and worked our way up and eventually became president of the union, and it gave me a real perspective, just being around and championing issues of labor, not necessarily even those around transportation, obviously understanding what you were doing with the work with NYCHA and some of our building trade folks, education, and, just things outside of that. In fact, I really cut my teeth as part of the New York City Union Child Care Coalition. Being a single parent, raising children, we had at that time, women on the board. And the mandate from the state fed and national AFL-CIO was child care. And they were like, well, we got to do it, and it's got to be you. And I'm like, no, I don't want it to be me. And it's like, I'll do grievances, I'll organize, I'll do anything. Fact of the matter is, I probably learned more about organizing, building coalitions, and really as much as I know about what we're doing today from those group of women and that organization more than 2 decades ago. That really, where I cut my teeth and got me started. Became that face for child care advocacy and in Albany, and ended up staying there as a transportation advocate. So that's really where I got started. Obviously, we go into this, being that voice. And the fact of the matter is, for those who don't know, one of the folks that I blame is Mr. Floyd for me being here because when the opportunity presented itself and I just said no, every one of my contemporaries that I spoke to within the labor movement said, we need you to be there. We don't have a voice. This is an opportunity for us. And quite frankly, I thought I had the greatest job in the world. And I know that you have the greatest job in the world. But But
you had another calling.
This was a big, This was a much bigger calling, and some of the things that we have been able to do and be a part of in a very short period of time. Helping to increase the wages of the airport workers out there with 32BJ as they try to organize. We got arrested on Dr. King's birthday, doing what he would have done, civil disobedience, and as he said, more than 40 years ago, no one should have a full-time job and receive part-time wages. And the fact of the matter is, that's what was happening for many of those airport workers who testified before our Civil Service and Labor Committee that at minimum wage with no benefit package, some of them had been there for a decade, that they were making choices that many coming from my district in Southeast Queens walked to work at Kennedy Airport because they couldn't afford to eat, feed their family, pay rent, and pay for public transportation. So that was a travesty, and I'm proud of the fact that almost...
So you said they were walking to work hungry?
Walking to work at Kennedy Airport because they couldn't afford to buy food,
Sure.
pay rent, and do all the things at minimum wage. And mind me...
And for our audience, tell them what minimum wage is.
$8.
$8 an hour with no benefits.
No benefits, yeah. And so these are the same jobs that 20, 25 years ago were directly employed by the airport, and not now they use the outside contractors with the lowest bid. But these are jobs that were union jobs, directly employed by the airlines, that made 3 times as much 20 years ago as they earn now, not to mention the value of the dollar 20 years ago. So, it was pretty bad. But after that, we had some dialogue and negotiation with the Port Authority, who put a little pressure on them, and 2 of the big 4 airlines agreed to raise them $2 an hour.
You're listening to Reaching Out. I'm Gregory Floyd, President Local 237 Teamsters. Our very special guest is Council Member Daneek Miller, and we're here talking about labor issues. Let's talk about the school safety agents. There is a lawsuit out there that we filed March 5th, 2010. And the current mayor, along with all the other mayoral candidates, said that they would settle that lawsuit. And my watch says it's May 28th, and the mayor promised to settle that lawsuit immediately. I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what his definition of immediately is.
Well, I will say this, that I expect you, because I know you, and I know what you do and what we do as presidents and business agents, to continue to do your due diligence, because in spite of best intentions, sometimes we need that nudge. And I'm still transitioning from one hat to the other. When I say we, I'm often talking about on the labor side, but I do sit on the other side on the council side now, on the government side. And there's 2 things. There's a number of things that can happen, and there's so much going on, so many promises that are made. I will tell you this, that this is 10% campaign promise and 90% circumstance, and circumstance dictates what you do every day. So what's on the burner? We all came in, and with some expectations and some promises, and so we expect them to be kept. But I think that as long as you stay in the ear of the administration, as long as I'm carrying that ball and I'm in the ear, and that the folks in the council understand that pay equity is important throughout the city, that people have to be properly compensated, that one cannot perform the same duties and be paid less than anyone else. Those days are over. And so as long as that word is constantly being reinforced, we're going to get there. Sometimes you get that look that I've gone as far as I can go. It's time for you to take this ball and run with it. And I've been a little frustrated on some certain issues, not personal issues, of course, but just things that impact your district, things that impact working people. And, and from our perspective, it's our issue, but one of the things that we know as a negotiator, that you have to understand what's going on the other side in order for you to succeed on your side of the table. Right. So, and so I think that's what we bring.
So, repeat that again. That's the negotiation 101.
You absolutely have to know what's going on the other side. You can't turn that deaf ear in order for you to know what's going on your side, and to be, most importantly, be effective on your side.
Right.
And a lot of folks, just don't want to hear what other people have to say, and you're not going to learn that way.
You know what I call that? crossing the street, not looking both ways. It may be a one-way street, but somebody might be backing up.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. You're right about that. And you're right. That is Labor 101. Yeah. And those are the things that we bring. Coalition building, always investigate your grievance,
yes.
Understanding. But, I have some of my colleagues and
everybody doesn't always give you the full story.
You gotta sign on to this like now. I said, listen, if I gotta sign on to it now, the answer is no. If I can take a look at it and do what we do, investigate the grievance and flush it out a little bit, there's a 99% chance that I'm going to be on it with you. But what we've learned in this and that my other hat is that there are very, very, very few things in life that have to be done right now. And so you have to be patient. You have to, in that leadership role, be able to display that to the membership, especially, that you're cool under fire and that you can handle this. And so we had great training, obviously.
Our members test us all the time.
Yeah, they test you all the time. Administration, the last one was not very good for working folk at all. And when you were able to persevere in spite of that, and I think that we were able to do well, we, won some very, very important interest arbitrations. Obviously, over the most importantly being the contract. But I think one of the things I'm most proud of was a contract interpretation grievance which identified bargaining unit work. And it said that, when the trains go down, they replace them with buses. Yes. They brought in other people during 2010 when they were trying to save money. And we at the arbitration said, and we made the argument that it had always been exclusively our work,
right,
regardless of what they think they're going to save. And not only did he say you must immediately cease and desist, but for the 2 months that they didn't do it, you're going to pay them
for that.
That was good. So moving forward, and that's what it's always about, right? Where we're going to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now. We have, and that goes for setting a precedent for all local unions, that there's such a thing as exclusive bargaining unit rights, that this belongs to us. And when we live in a world of privatization and farming out work, that is really, really important. So that's one of the things I'm most proud of being able to do.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this segment of Reaching Out. I'm Gregory Floyd, President, Local 237 Teamsters. Very special guest was Council Member Daneek Miller. Daneek, thank you for being on.
Hey, man.
Reaching Out.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure, my brother.